The year is 1776, a pivotal moment in history. A group of men gather in Philadelphia, united by a daring vision, a vision that would change the course of history forever. They dream of a nation free from tyranny, where all men are created equal, a radical idea in a world dominated by monarchies and empires. This is the story of America's founders, flawed yet brilliant minds who dared to challenge an empire, risking everything for the sake of freedom. These men, products of their time, were also prisoners of their time, bound by the social and economic norms of the 18th century. They yearned for liberty, yet many enslaved fellow human beings, a stark contradiction that would haunt the nation for centuries. This inherent contradiction, this struggle between ideals and reality, shaped the very soul of a nation, creating a legacy of both inspiration and conflict. The founders were not gods, but men of flesh and blood, driven by ambition, fear, and hope, each with their own vision of what America could be. They were lawyers, planters, merchants, and soldiers, united by a common cause, yet divided by their own interests and beliefs. They risked everything, their lives, fortunes, and sacred honor, for a radical idea that government derives its just powers from the consent of the governed, a principle that would become the cornerstone of American democracy. This revolutionary concept sent shockwaves across the world, inspiring other nations to seek their own paths to freedom. Yet, the story of America's founding is not a simple tale of triumph, but a complex narrative filled with moments of doubt, struggle, and sacrifice. It is a complex narrative interwoven with contradictions, compromises, and enduring legacies, a story of ideals clashing with reality. The founders left behind a legacy of both progress and injustice, a legacy that continues to shape America today, influencing its path forward. This is their story, the story of a nation's flawed yet hopeful beginnings. A story that reminds us of the power of vision and the complexities of human nature. The founders championed liberty, yet many were slave owners. This paradox is one of the most glaring contradictions in American history. This stark contradiction casts a long shadow over their legacy, raising questions about the true nature of their commitment to freedom and equality. How could a nation founded on the principles of equality and freedom condone the institution of slavery? This question is not just historical, but deeply philosophical, challenging the very ideals upon which America was built. This question haunted the founders and continues to resonate through American history. It is a moral dilemma that has left an indelible mark on the nation's conscience. Some, like Thomas Jefferson, grappled with the hypocrisy of owning slaves while penning the words, "All men are created equal." Jefferson's internal conflict is emblematic of the broader national struggle. They understood the inherent wrongness of slavery, but were reluctant to dismantle a system so deeply ingrained in the social and economic fabric of their world. The economic benefits of slavery were too significant for many to ignore. Others, like George Washington, expressed a desire to see slavery abolished, but took little concrete action during their lifetimes. Washington's cautious approach reflects the complexities and pressures of the time. This paradox, this moral failing, would eventually tear the nation apart. The unresolved issue of slavery created deep divisions that could not be ignored. The Civil War, a bloody conflict fought over the issue of slavery, serves as a stark reminder of the unfinished work of the founders. The war was a brutal reckoning with the nation's original sin. Their failure to resolve this fundamental contradiction at the nation's founding continues to shape debates about race, equality, and justice in modern America. The echoes of this paradox are still felt today, influencing contemporary struggles for civil rights and social justice. The founders were deeply influenced by Enlightenment thinkers like John Locke and Montesquieu. Locke's concept of natural rights, life, liberty, and property, formed the bedrock of the Declaration of Independence. The founders believed these rights were inherent, not granted by any government. This radical idea challenged the very foundation of monarchy and aristocracy. Montesquieu's ideas on the separation of powers also resonated deeply with the founders. They feared centralized power and sought to create a government where no one branch held absolute authority. This system of checks and balances, enshrined in the Constitution, aimed to prevent tyranny and safeguard individual liberty. This emphasis on individual liberty, however, primarily focused on what we now call negative rights, freedoms from government interference. The founders were less concerned with positive rights, entitlements to certain goods or services provided by the government. This distinction continues to shape debates about the role of government in modern society. Section 4. The Crucible of Compromise. Forging a Nation. The Constitutional Convention of 1787 was a crucible of compromise, a pivotal moment in American history where the future of the fledgling nation hung in the balance. Delegates from 13 diverse states, each with its own interests and priorities, gathered to forge a new government. These men, representing a wide array of backgrounds and ideologies, faced the monumental task of creating a unified nation. Fierce debates raged over representation, slavery, and the balance of power. The air was thick with tension as delegates passionately defended their positions, knowing that the decisions made here would shape the future of the United States. One of the most contentious issues was representation. The question of how states should be represented in the new government was a major sticking point. Large states favored a system based on population, believing it would give them a fair share of influence, while small states demanded equal representation regardless of size, fearing domination by their larger neighbors. The Connecticut Compromise, a testament to political ingenuity, created a bicameral legislature with a Senate offering equal representation and a House of Representatives based on population. This ingenious solution balanced the needs of both large and small states, allowing the convention to move forward. The issue of slavery threatened to derail the entire convention. It was a deeply divisive topic that struck at the heart of the nation's moral and economic fabric. Southern states, economically dependent on enslaved labor, refused to join a union that threatened their way of life. They argued vehemently for the protection of their economic interests. The 3/5 Compromise, a deeply flawed agreement, counted each slave as 3/5 of a person for representation and taxation purposes. This compromise was a stark reminder of the deep divisions within the nation. This compromise, while temporarily preserving the Union, left the issue of slavery unresolved, a ticking time bomb that would eventually explode in civil war. The decisions made during the Constitutional Convention laid the groundwork for the United States, but also set the stage for future conflicts that would test the nation's resolve and commitment to its founding principles. Section 5. The Fight for Freedom. A crucible of fire and spirit. The Revolutionary War was not a foregone conclusion. The fledgling nation faced a formidable foe in the British Empire, a global superpower with a seasoned army and vast resources. The Continental Army, poorly equipped and often outnumbered, endured incredible hardships during the long and brutal war. Valley Forge, a symbol of American resilience, saw Washington's army endure a brutal winter, ravaged by disease, starvation, and despair. Yet, they persevered, their spirit unbroken. Ordinary men and women rose to the occasion, displaying extraordinary courage and sacrifice. The American victory at Saratoga, a turning point in the war, secured crucial foreign support, particularly from France. The French alliance proved instrumental in tipping the balance in favor of the American cause. The war, a testament to the indomitable spirit of the American people, forged a new national identity defined by resilience, determination, and a fierce love of liberty.